Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we're going to discuss whether or not you need a post-cycle therapy when you're using SARMS. But before we get into that, I have to reiterate, as always, I'm not a doctor. Whatever I say in this videos are for your entertainment purposes only. I'm not insinuating nor advising you to use any of the things that we discuss, and what you do with this information is completely up to you. So, topic of the day, do SARMS require a post-cycle therapy? I get this question so many times per day, it would actually blow many of your minds. I literally, this is not an exaggeration at all, I probably get this question at least 20 to 30 times per day, constantly, 7 days a week. So, obviously we just need to do a video on this so that there's a direct way to find the answer to this without me having to repeat it over and over again. In short, the answer is yes. All right? Now we're going to get into all of the facts behind that. Now, one thing that I have to mention, when you're looking at a list of SARMS, if you're on a website or whatever, you're going to also see GW 501516, SR 9009, and MK 677 listed. Technically on paper, as we pointed out, as I've covered each one of these individually, they are not technically SARMS. They are grouped with SARMS. So if you run any of these by themselves or just stacked together with just these combinations of any of these three, they are non-suppressive and would therefore not require any sort of post-cycle therapy. So let me make it clear. If you run GW alone or SR alone or 677 alone or any combination of those three without anything else, then you would not need any post-cycle therapy. Now, if you run any other SARM, MK2866, S4, LGD4033, RAD140, S23, YK11, etc., you absolutely need a post-cycle therapy. Now, you don't need a full-blown post-cycle therapy. Oftentimes you'll hear me make reference to a mini PCT. Now, I've done a video specifically on post-cycle therapy, so you know that it's a pretty stringent post-cycle that I recommend. All right, there's several different compounds that need to be used. When you're running a SARMS-only cycle, a mini PCT is one SERM, either Clomid or Novadex, either one. It doesn't matter. It literally, I always get, well, which one's better? It literally makes zero difference. You pick the one that you want. You need to run these at a lower dose. So if you're running Clomid, you really only need 25 milligrams per day for 4 weeks, or Novadex 20 milligrams per day for 4 weeks. Now, oftentimes, I will see people that run double that the first week. So Clomid 50 milligrams the first week, Novadex 40 milligrams the first week. There's no issue with that either. If you feel more comfortable doing that, that's fine. It's not necessary generally, but you can do that. Now, if you're running S23, as I've said several times, you might as well just run a full post-cycle therapy with that. That, to me, should not even be grouped with SARMS. It is on the level of strength and suppression as a steroid, so let's exclude that from this discussion. And some people do feel YK11 needs a full post-cycle therapy as well. I don't firmly stand by that, but I wouldn't be against it if you wanted to run a full post-cycle with it. The others, mini post-cycle therapy. So you've got your one SERM. You can also add a test booster to that, just a natural test booster. You don't have to. I won't say that it's something that you must absolutely do, but it's certainly not going to hurt. I always like to say run a test booster the last 4 weeks of your cycle before you go into post-cycle therapy. And you know, SARM suppression is a lot less than steroids. It's more minimal, it's more mild, but I always like to transition into post-cycle therapy in the best state possible. So by running a test booster the last 4 weeks, you're allowing yourself to get that little extra boost before going into post-cycle therapy, so your levels are a little bit more elevated than they would be without. Then, I generally always recommend GW 501516 in your post-cycle, and that's it. Now, why? I always get the question, why would you put that in there? Why would you put that in there? Why would you put that in there? There's a couple reasons why. Now, on a steroid cycle, cortisol can be a major issue in post-cycle therapy, and that's the main issue that I recommend GW 501516, is to control that rise in cortisol, because, as I've said, cortisol's nickname is the gains killer. When you increase cortisol, which does happen during post-cycle therapy, then it can really, really ruin your gains. A lot of people struggle in post-cycle therapy because of that increase in cortisol. Cortisol makes it very hard to burn any sort of fat, and in fact, it increases, the fat gain that you sustain. It also puts you into a catabolic state, making it very difficult to build muscle. And that's another reason why people struggle so much in post-cycle therapy. Obviously, the suppression in post-cycle therapy, we know all that, but that's why you use Clomid and Novadex. But people never talk about cortisol and wonder, well, I ran Clomid and Nova. Why does my post-cycle suck? Why am I not recovering? Why am I not keeping gains? Because you're not addressing all the aspects of post-cycle therapy that needs to be addressed. Now, on top of that, GW501516 is non-suppressive, and it's an ultimate performance enhancer with no side effects. So it's allowing you to actually keep your, levels of training at a much higher level. So it's going to help you to not lose gains during post-cycle therapy. So I always recommend using it. It's only 4 weeks in there, and you can really run GW 16 weeks. So if you're running a 12-week cycle of SARMS and GW is involved, you can still run it into post-cycle therapy completely fine. But that's it, everybody. Just that mini PCT, one SERM, Novid or Cloma, optional test booster, and GW501516. 4 weeks. Now, the beauty of SARMS as opposed to steroids, when you're using steroids, general rule of thumb is time on plus your PCT time equals time off. With SARMS, your time on has nothing to do with anything. You can go back on cycle generally 4 weeks after you complete your mini PCT, as long as it's just SARMS only. So there's a big difference there as well. But recovery time should be far easier. Now, if you don't have real SARMS, which is an issue in many instances out there, well, then, things are going to be different. But we're just speaking on legitimate SARMS and what they should and should not do and how to properly run that post-cycle therapy with them. So it's not that difficult, but it's misunderstood. It's not explained enough. I haven't done a video on it, which is my mistake, and I should have done this a while ago. So I wanted to make sure that this was out there for everybody to have as a reference and to understand. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.